Good morning, everyone.
Good evening.
I start my presentation. These are today's content. And first, I explain my motivation of this progress report. What is the motivation of this report? I changed my theme a little bit. So I summarized my research up to the present. So in this presentation, I focused the difference between past and current situation in my research. And in the next week, we have a J2 joint seminar for master first grade students. So this slide will be used in this seminar. So if you have some comment, please. And this new square means new contents of my research, and the same square means the same contents. So let's start. First, I'll explain my research background. In the past, my research, I mainly focused urban sprawl and the effect. But now, I focus the urban dynamic process and the effect. At first, what is the urban dynamic process and the effect? This is my defined word. So my definition of this term is urban dynamic process is consisted from urban sprawl and urban reverse sprawl. So from here, I'll explain about these words and why this phenomenon is important in this research. So urban dynamic process is consisted from urban sprawl and urban reverse sprawl. So I first explain urban sprawl and the effect, but in this slide is explained in the last presentation of my progress report, so I explain this briefly. In Japanese local term, there is a population growth and car spreading, and from these causes, this causes a spread of urban structure. This is the image of this phenomenon. The green square represents the urban area, and the orange square represents the housing land use, and blue square means commercial building land use. And from this situation, if time is passed in the urban sprawl situation, the urban structure is expanded to the outside of the city. It is a thing. And if this is the land use is expanded, the infrastructure cost for government is increased because the government have to pay some cost to maintain this urban structure, like sewage system. It means the Keseido system.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Could you give a small example of commercial building and housing?
Yeah. This is I after show the clearly type of this building, but for example, the housing is divided into rental house and ordered house and Bunjo, the house is divided to the three types, and I after the explain this house. Commercial building is divided to the convenience store and general marketing store and food store like that. after I just explain this. So the next I'll explain about the avant reverse flow and the effect. This word comes from his research, Professor Taniguchi. He defined the avant reverse flow is the process of the urban service leaves from the city. So his word. This word comes from his word. And I explained about the word. And this phenomenon is occurred in Japanese local town after urban sprawl. And in Japan, there is a population decreasing in the future, and there is already population decreasing is happened. And there is a population aging in Japanese society. So in this situation, urban services lives from a city because urban service is, for example, the commercial building or medical services. They cannot get enough profit. So they have to, the urban services have to live from a city in this context. And the image is here. This is an urban area, and you can see the urban structure is expanded to the outside to the city. And if this means after urban sprawl, and if time is passed, the commercial building is, for example, this commercial building is left from this city. And we can see the housing in this area. And this housing actor, for these actors, it is hard to access to commercial building because the commercial building has left from here. Please. So this urban. So the reverse means reverse to the reverse of the location. So the urban reverse flow is this represents this process. Okay. And so in this context, it is important to consider policy effect for urban dynamic process. The policy means like land use regulation and the land urban renewal. But the analysis of policy effect which affects urban dynamic process and actors like consumer commercial firms and government is insufficient. So this is background. And from the background, I get my research purpose. So after this slide, I explain. So next about research purpose. And from the background, I'll modify the research purpose from previous purpose. And I have two research purposes. The first one is to construct a model which can express long-term urban dynamic process of local town in Japan, and which can analyze the policy effect like land use control and urban renewal by agent-based modeling. And the second purpose is to apply the model into real local town and analyze the policy effect and forecast. These are research purpose. From now, I explain the previous research and my research about my research. This slide is showed in summer seminar, and I explained about that. So today I'm not explaining about this. And I found one research area. This is urban planning. In this area, they use various methods like this. Of course, they use the method not written in this, right? But they often use this method. And I found one interesting paper in this area, so I show that briefly. Which is this paper, Deguchi Lab, in 2012. In this paper, they forecast the risk of the process of compact city. This means, in this paper, they calculate the risk of the process for compact city. In the compact city is a the image of the city to the concentrated in the center. So in this process, what is the risk for residents of the city is happened. They calculate that. But they don't discuss how the process is achieved. So this means, but they don't discuss how the compact city process is achieved by the policy. So this process is given by author. From this is a previous research, and my research position is agent-based modeling. This approach is bottom-up modeling from individuals, and there is actors in their behavior and the interaction between individuals. So yes, this is my research position. And I explain the model definition. So this process, so I explain. So I use this agent-based modeling. So there is an agent. The agent is consisted from consumer, commercial firm, developer, and government. We construct the model from these agents. You can see the first purpose is to express our dynamic process of local town in Japan. This is the first purpose of my research. So, in order to achieve this, I summarize the cause and effect relation in the context of urban dynamic process in local town. This is because my professor told me that it is important to consider the cause and effect relation for modeling. So I survey some book and paper, so I summarize this. So in this next slide, I explain. So these are the most important slide I think in this today. So there is a cause and effect in urban dynamic process. And this arrow shows the start point means the cause and end point means the effect. So I will summarize this slide and I explain this. And in Japan, first you can see this part, this element. In Japan, there is population constitution transition. This means the population changing. In the appendix, you can see this graph. This graph shows this is very small graph, but the Japanese population is this is a macro level population, and in Japanese there is a population growth to the 2006, but from the 2006 the Japanese population is decreasing, and there is a household constitution transition. Household means setai in Japanese, and this means setai household is separated into the small level. This is increasing, but this is characteristic in Japan, and from this causes there is a population moving in to the city. And if population is moving to the city, there is a consumer location. The location style is divided into this housing style. This is a house kind. First one is rental house, and second type is ordered house, and third type is condominium type. The rental house means like apart. In the apart, the household rent from the farm. And these two types is to buy house. And ordered type means they order the house which they need. And condominium type means the house which is sold by developer. And this location is defined by the characteristic of household and age, and price, car access, and having car, and they are near to the building or and there is a developer. The developer is affected to types of event. The developer means the developer made some building for consumer and commercial farm, and their behavior is defined from this contents. They forecast of profit from the development, and rental they made rental or condominium type of housing, and they of course they consider the land price for development of land. And there is a commercial farm location. The commercial farm location is defined by this element. There is a type of farm. This means there is a lot of type of farm, but I cannot clearly define about this. And there is a competition and land price and policy regulation and cost rate, and this element define the commercial farm location. And of course, this is a dynamic process, so there is a location and withdrawal. Withdrawal means left from the city of the actor. So there is two types of withdrawal. First one is the consumer withdrawal. They have no utility from the city, they withdraw. And farm withdrawal is happened when the sales is smaller than the cost. This is not appropriate. But this farm withdrawal action comes from the paper of Taniguchi. So this is written in this page. So if the consumer withdraw from the city, so the output is there is a population moving out. This means 人口転出 in Japanese. So this process is dynamic. So this is I define that this is urban dynamic process. So this this is I. Cause and effect relation in the urban dynamic process. So, last, I explain the future work. So, before the explanation, I must complete my model definition. And there is a joint seminar in the next week, so I present in this seminar. And I want to have the meeting with professor. So this is the future work. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Any question or comment to his research?
I think this topic is quite interesting. And according to your slides, I'd like to ask. So you said that the previous research is insufficient in some aspect,
Yes.
but they didn't mention the details of where this insufficient point is.
You mean about this or the purpose in the background?
The purpose.
Sufficient.
So the analysis is insufficient.
Yes.
So I think perhaps more concrete instructions, explanation is necessary. Because you say analysis is insufficient, but we do not know why it is
Yes.
insufficient and where the insufficient
yes.
point is.
Insufficient point is of course there is a discussion about the problem of urban river sprawl and urban sprawl, but there is not a little discussion about quantitative discussion and the dynamic discussion for this problem. I mean, so of course.
You mean the previous research didn't consider the dynamic process of
Dynamic and quantitative
quantitative okay.
analysis is not sufficient, especially in the policy aspect.
So quantitative is the point.
Yes.
And another one is the about your nodal description, definition.
Nodal description.
So you listed some factors that may have some influences in the behaviors of the individuals,
Yes.
and also there were some. So I'd like to ask, what's the decision making behaviors of each kinds of agents? For example, what's the decision making process action for the consumer?
Decision making of consumer.
Yeah.
I have not decided yet clearly, but there is some types of household, like only one household. Of course, there is a family type of household, and there is of course difference of age. This is important factor of the household. So there is a difference between the household of the location. So this is the difference is written in some books. For example, the only one types of household is often often type is rental, but the family often buy the order for condominium. So the agent decision making process is different.
based
But
on the
with this,
preferences.
yes, there is a preference. So I want to construct the preference of the household. So this is, but of course there is another factor. So
factors.
this is considered, though this should be considered to the agent's decision making process.
So basically, the consumer agents will have three kinds of selection, whether they choose the rental one, or the one, or the condominium one.
Yes, I think this I consider.
So I think the most kind of important point is that we have some possibility that some factors may influence the decision making process.
Yeah.
But first, we'd like to have the kind of accurate definition of the behaviors.
Yes.
So the factors will influence the behaviors, right? So I think firstly we'd like to have to define the behaviors of each kind of agents to have to establish the model, and then we consider that how the factors influences the behaviors of the agents.
You mean? I think this is a macro phenomenon cause and effect. So you say that I should define the cause and effect from the agent position, in the agent position. You say.
No, I mean, we'd like to construct a kind of agent-based model, right? And there are kinds of agents.
Yes.
So the first we'd like to define how the agents act.
How the agent act.
So I think that is the point.
Yes.
And after we define the action of the agents, and we will consider that perhaps some factors that can influence the action of the agents.
Yes, of course, I think the agent behavior situation is important. But so after I consider this cause and effect, I want to consider the behavior. So, for example, I want to consider this element to the consumer's agent behavior. So this element will be affected to the consumer's behavior. But in the macro level, there is a Ivan dynamic process, so I write in this form. So I want to think the agent behavior's definition more clearly.
There is a kind of feedback exists in this system, right?
Yeah.
The feedback exists in this system because, for example, the commercial firm, they consider the land price, but yeah, the land price.
Yes.
So the land price will vary depending on the population, right?
Average.
Those land where much more consumer accumulated will have a higher price,
Yes.
right? So this is kind of feedback.
What do you mean the feedback?
So more consumers, they live in the same place, and consequently the price of the price will rise, right?
Yes. Of course, there is a previous theory or some research about the land price. So I have to consider this land price about more detail. So I think it is possible that there is some feedback about the land price. But I don't know that clearly now about the land price.
Thank you.
You mentioned that there will be a government agent, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you put them in this urban dynamic process, and what do they do?
Sorry, but I say the government is the agent, but the government agent is the special type. So there are only one, and I think the government, the agent is government is not clear, not appropriate explanation, because the government, the policy is not policy can be chosen by us.
Okay.
So it is difficult to consider the agent, but I don't know the clearly what to define.
So you want to treat them as the normal agent, like the consumer and the population. I mean, it will be a different kind of agent than the consumer.
Yes. Yes. So the agent is consisted from this type. There is lots of consumer and there is lots of commercial firm, and they have some decision making in this.
Well, I have two questions.
Yes.
The first one is about definition of urban dynamic process. Because in the first or second slide in the background, we give an imagination
Yes.
image of the urban dynamic process. It's the spatial dynamic process. I mean, the change of location of housing and of
Yes.
consumer
Building.
buildings. But in the previous slide, please. Next slide. But in this, you define the urban dynamic process is a kind of behaviors and interactions of these stakeholders.
Yes.
So which one is your definition of urban dynamic process?
Which one?
Yeah, I mean the change of location in the city, or the interactions and behaviors of these stakeholders. Which one? Dynamic process.
I want to consider the urban dynamic process as this urban changing process in the macro level from this interaction.
One small time.
The image is there is a if I model this, so in the macro level there is the urban urban sprawl and urban river sprawl in this macro level.
So I mean that your urban dynamic process definition, which one is you want to define it in the macro level or the micro level? In the macro level is the changing of population or changing of the city and so on. But in the micro level, the interactions and the behaviors of these stakeholders is another process. So which one you want to focus on? Because in the first, in the beginning of the presentation, you give the definition as in the macro level, right? But in this slide, you define this urban dynamic process in micro level.
Yes.
So
yes.
this a little, dilemma in
Yeah.
the
So
presentation.
yes, of course.
So,
Yes. Yes. This is micro level. So this is, I think, from what? So I want to say that from this micro level interaction, there will be our scroll and reverse. And I want to say this is
okay. This is the definition of that open dynamic process folder. So you should remove that work because you give another definition.
yes, yes. Thank you.
And the second one is, how about the location of schools and hospitals? Do you consider these factors? This factor because the location of schools and hospital, not only location of consumer, commercial buildings, but also the locations of schools and hospitals
Yeah.
is very important, right?
Yes, that is really important factor. But in my research interest or research background, I want to focus the Hoshima building and Hoshima. I write this. I write in this path, urban service. So this urban service, of course, include the commercial building and hospital and the school, like that. But I want to focus in this model, commercial building. So commercial building is needed for the household ordinary life. So this is how to access to commercial building. So in this model, I want to consider only commercial building.
So if you want to leave out these factors, for example, hospitals, schools, you have to have a reasonable reason. You have to have a reason for why.
Why? So it is because I focused this problem. So in this problem, there is no need to include the element like school and hospital here. Of course, the effect can be considered in the model, but in the location level, I don't think it is needed to consider to include school or hospital. Of course, if my interest is focused on hospital, I can be included to this values.
So I think you should do a deeper investigation on that factors because if I have a family, I have a child, I will consider the location not of schools and hospital to buy a house or to rent a house, of course. So more investigation on these factors, I think is needed. That's all.
I have one question. Please back to research pro. Research purpose. You construct the general model.
その後でなんかリアルケース
Yes. I want to construct the general, but not general. But I mean, I want to use the local Japanese local terms, the general level. So not the all general level. So I want to do this general model and I want to apply the local terms level in the real.
kind of framework for
これには例があるんですか？
So like I show the Toyama city's level like in the local, not the for example this Yokohama, but I cannot clearly define this level. So this is important. Yes.
なんかごめんなさい、日本語でごめんなさい。なんか一般的にこうなモデルを作って実際の都市に当てはめようというような風に聞こえてるんですけど、
そうですね。
なんかそれよりもここってなんか同時にした方がいいんじゃないですかねっていうのが僕の素人での意見なんですけど、なんか実際のこうケースをイメージしながらモデル
僕もこの辺はなんていうか独立になったものかどうかちょっと分かってないんですけど、例えばモデル作るときに実際になんていうか数値パラメーターとかではこういうのを考えつつ作っていかないと正規にならないので、これ結構
作ってからどっかに当てはめるっていうよりはなんかどっかをイメージしたものを作ってそれをなんかどこにでも利用できるようにっていうそういうイメージですかね。そう思ったんで。リアルと簡単なんかイメージしてるんでしたっけ？
前の例では富山市とかそういうなんていうか地方だけどなんていうか若干セントラルみたいな地方のセントラル水戸とかそういうの。
Can I see your definition of the urban dynamic process? There's a slide on the definition on the urban dynamic process. In the next slide, previous slide, you have a definition for your own definition of
Yes.
this one.
Yes.
So it's saying that the urban dynamic processes consist of urban sprawl and urban reverse sprawl. And from my understanding that the urban reverse sprawl happens after the
Yes.
urban one. Then how you reflect this sequence in your cause and effect diagram?
Yeah, I think the main cause of urban reverse sprawl is the population decreasing in Japan and population aging. So from this context, the consumer will decrease from the city. So this is considered in the model. In this population constitution transition and it's called constitution transition. So from this input, the phenomena will happen.
So the population decreasing is a result of the urban sprawl.
I think it's kind of what Volterra equation. You know the wolf and rabbit. When one decreasing, then
Yes.
I mean
It's like a
it's like a
circle
cycle.
cycling.
Yeah.
But what's my point is that if it's a cycling, then this cause and effect diagram
I mean,
probably has some.
in the moment where reverse sprawl happen, the price of the land goes down
Yeah,
and people
I
see
know.
more opportunity and people goes again and urban sprawl happen again. I
Yeah.
think
Then
that's the way.
in a cycling case, then it's very hard to say which is the cause and which is the effect. Then it will be very hard to break it down to the macro level. Right? Here you have a start, right, and then you have a result. But from L's understanding and my understanding is that it's a cycling. You cannot tell exactly what is the cause and what is the result. Because your definition is the dynamic process consists of urban sprawling and urban reverse one. So these two, the sequence of these two is kind
I
of
cannot
confusing.
understand the sequence. What is the meaning of sequence?
Mm. So
Sequence.
sequence which happens first and which is the result.
Oh.
So it's better to make the definition more clear that you want to understand this part, not the whole picture, otherwise it's very confusing.
So you say this arrow cannot be explained to the sequence. Cause an effect like that.
No, I mean, it is a cause and effect. It's like you have population decreased and population decreased, and then you have urban sprawl, right? And then
Yes.
like some developers service move out, and then you have the urban reverse. This is your logic, right?
Yes, yes.
But the point is that sometimes this may influence back to this one.
Oh.
So how you define the whole circle, where you cut the sequence. So it's kind of, you can start from here and like this one, or you can start from here like this one. So how's your definition?
In current situation, I'm not consider the cycle
Yes. And
because this one is constant input operation.
Natural cause.
so it's try to make the definition clear. Is how you match your diagram with your definition. And like Gordon always say, is the boundary of your.
Yes, because urban sprawl and service, the change of service is caused by human, right? The decrease of population, the change of population is a natural cause.
Yes.
It's 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 a law of human society.
Then
Mm.
yeah.
European society have had the change of the age. European society happened in the last centuries, and now it happened to Japan, and it will happen to China and India in the future. It's like a law of nature.
Yes, and
But water law and the change of service in the city is the cause of by human. Right? So I think the law of nature is the first. The change of population will cause.
yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my point is that your definition is not that clear.
Yes.
So it's kind of cause confusing what is your whole logic.
So you say this, for example, this definition is not clear. Like this.
No, this one is your previous definition that urban dynamic process consists of urban sprawl
yes.
and this one. So it's too general. So it's better to put a boundary of your model that what kind of phenomenon you want to know.
So I want to.
And also make clear of
Yes,
the
yes,
difference between the urban sprawl and urban reverse sprawl. It's kind of confused.
I divide the urban sprawl and urban reverse sprawl.
Yeah.
The definition should be clearly.
Yeah, maybe you can separate this cause and effect according to the urban sprawl and urban reverse sprawl rather than putting them together. Another question is that in this cause and effect, yeah, the population move in will influence the consumer location, right? In this third one, the population will influence the consumer behaviors, right? Consumer location, and also the developer behavior will influence the consumer location.
Yes.
So is there any relationships between the population moving and developer behaviors?
Why this arrow is written?
No, I mean, you have two factors influence the same result. Right? For the consumer location, you have population moving and developer behaviors.
Ah, yes.
Right. Then is there any relationships between the population moving and developer behavior?
This is because if the population is moving into the city, they have to locate anywhere in the city. So this arrow means that. And this arrow means that if developer develops some land used to the like rental or condominium purpose, the consumer will use the rental or condominium housing. So first they develop this housing, and if the land is constructed, they can use the rental or condominium housing. This is a process.
So you mean the type of house will influence some other, will they influence the different aspects of the consumer location.
Yes,
Another one is that the developer behavior will also influence the consumer withdrawal. Right?
No, this arrow is this full all square, not square. So from this location, in the urban, they can get some utility or profit because if they have not enough commercial farm around their living, they get low utility. And if the farm cannot get enough consumer, they will get smaller sales. So this arrow means the urban structure and the behavior, their behavior influence their decision making of withdrawal.
How about the opposite side? The
Side.
Yes, because here is low utility and sales smaller than cost. Then how about high utility and sales larger than cost?
I think there is no result. So scaling.
Then I mean your agent-based modeling, then you just don't consider that case, right? And I mean you only consider the case that if the utility is low and sales is smaller than cost, right?
Yes.
I mean this is the macro level, then down to the micro level. The agents will only consider this case.
Yes. in my current situation, I don't know about these elements. So of course, there is a different element for their decision making.
So it's just a suggestion that if you want to describe this kind of cause and effect, it's very hard to understand. So give a small example. For example, like Mr. K or Aiza came from, where you come from? Kyoto? Ibaraki, and he come to Tokyo Tech, and he get a very good job in a big company, and he want to stay in Tokyo, right? And then he moved to Tokyo, and now, for example, Tokyo corporations developed a new town, a new town for young people living, single people, and then you move into that new, for example, rental apartment. But after 10 years, you get married and you get a son, and so you need to have a car, or you need a better location for your family, like near the supermarket, or near the big supermarket or the department. So now the utility of yours is increased because you need a better location for a family, and then you're moving out. It's kind of small example, like your example.
Yes.
Very.
It's story.
Yeah.
Examples. I want to make some example.
Another question is that you'd like to make a model of this one certain city, or a model consisted of several similar cities. You want to make a model consist of only one city, or consist of several cities?
So I want to make the model at first in the local town's general level. So such as I will say that. So after that, I want to apply some local town.
I mean, in your model, what's the number of the cities in your model? Only one or several cities?
Yeah. Only one.
Only one. So I feel there is a problem is that, of course, such as the population moving out. See, naturally they were not disappeared, right? They will move from one city to another. So there is a kind of they will compare the utility of each city and choose the bigger one for simple cases. So if you only build the one city model, then how to decide when there will the population moving out? That is a big problem, I think. If you only have one city.
Yes. So in this level, there is no other city.
Perhaps we have 3 cities, and each city, or 3 locations, and each locations have their own utility, and then the agent will choose one of the 3. But if you only have one, then you have to set a kind of limitation that for example, if the utility is lower than 5, then they will move out. But that is quite ambitious, and difficult to set this kind of limitation.
Yes, thank you. I think it's important. I want to survey that.
Any other question or comment? 石川先生。Any question?
I only heard about the model definition, and I don't know what you said in the previous survey. So nothing to say about that, but I want to ask about the future plan,
Japan is
more detail.
At first, I want to complete the model definition. This is related to the meeting.
So that the most important thing is that it is difficult to complete the model definition, because if you start to make a model, I think your definition will be changed. So you should do the same, the modeling and also the definition parallel.
But Professor Deguchi is saying this.
I know that.
What about solution?
Yeah, I know that, but the complete, I think that all doctor students know that it's very difficult to do that. So, and if Deguchi Sensei always said that definition is important, but I think you will find more. Another point of the definition from your model. I mean that the process of making a model. So maybe you are on the start line to start making a model just now. So we start both of them.
Can I start the making model?
Yeah, I think. And I think that definition of words or for your model, I think the definition of the services is important. I mean,
Service.
yeah, complete the definition of words or services or that kind of things is important. Maybe. I think that not complete the model definition, maybe complete definition of model elements, I think.
Complete definition of model elements.
Kind of conceptual model first,
Yeah, right.
and then after you almost finish the conceptual model, then down to the mathematic agents, then you can have this definition.
For example, like the word developer.
But if you if you use too much time to define that whole things, maybe you lose to time to make a model. So,
Yes.
and modeling techniques is very important. So maybe you can start making your own model from this point.
Excuse me, your presentation in J2 joint seminar in Japanese, right?
Japanese.
So you'll change this in Japanese.
Yes, I change it, but of course revised one to Japanese.
The composition is the same.
Position.
I mean, the slides is the same.
But I change about, for example, this one, like, and I would include motivation. This.
So my suggestion is that in J2 joint seminar you should give what is the expected results of the research and more detail of the schedule. Research schedule. And expected results of the research.
I like that.
And I have one request. Could you show me the slide of your background? numbers, page number 7. Yeah, maybe this one. Could you make more rich image of this? This one, this, yeah, more, you know, too simple. Too simple. Too simple. Simple すぎる。
分散していくみたいな感じ。
If you search some maps, maybe 40, for example, 40 years ago, and now you're real map, and then you can point it out. This is a house or this is a shop or like that. We can imagine very well from that.
Yes, thank you. 確かに。
Thank you. Your presentation. Today's seminar is that's all. Only one presenter. Any announcement to next seminar?
Seminars presenter is not given for
来週ないんですよ。
山岸君全部ほっとけって言ってる。
今日30でした。
だってあの時に全部振れって言ったよね。